Let's begin. A tad late. Stretch spine up tall, shoulders back, ribs expanded and lifted. So this whole framework of the trunk is open. And within that framework, breathe comfortably. So that work of lifting the trunk shouldn't involve compression or holding or manipulation of the breath. The opening of the trunk should result in a quieter, more evenly rhythmical, steady, connected breath. So each of these, they're functional and they're also psychological, perceptual compartments. Pelvis, abdomen, chest, throat, head, the limbs, arms and legs, the spine might be very fairly considered its own unique compartment. Each one needs to set its own self straight so that the breath can pervade. No shoving, no sucking, no pulling, no pushing. You just arrange the space and release the nerve so that the breath can move. Join your palms. So the joining of the palms is an extension of the limb from the spine to the palms. The palms don't push, but there is a contact, willful contact. So the nervous system also releases toward that joining. And at that central place, behind those palms, behind the sternum, draw your senses and attention. Listening carefully, closely to the sound of your breath. Pay homage to this practice. Pay homage to that root teacher, Patanjali. And then bow your head to that practice, to that teacher, and release your hands. Raise your head and open your eyes. Stretch your legs, change the crossing. Resit if you need to, and turn to the right. Look toward the camera so head doesn't turn. I don't know which, and Gabe, by the way, all I see is the ceiling. I don't see you at all. So sit up straight, turn to the right. Oh, hi, Cliff. Spine up tall. So don't strain the neck to look forward. Just keep the two sides of the neck long. Come up tall through the ribs. Turn. And back out, staying tall. Change sides. So don't go so much for twist as for height, then twist. So you can use these arms to help lever some lift in the ribs, pulling back and down through that shoulder blade. The trunk can come up. Take this lower pelvis, abdomen, straight up and turn. So it doesn't matter what your outward shape is. This spinal compartment goes up. Front, in front of that spinal compartment goes up. Come out. Keep that front of the spinal compartment up. Stretch your legs. Take your legs apart. Upavishta Konasana. You can stay seated on your blankets. You could also take your hips down. This is your flexibility. Stretch your legs, taking support with the hands. Now, those who hyperextend, sit on the floor. Okay, let's just change that. Everybody sit on the floor. So everybody's got a straight edge underneath the legs, past which you cannot hyperextend. So below the knee, above the knee, there's this zone, right, that is the knee. There's the inner, lower, inner, upper, outer, lower, outer, upper, four corners on that back of the knee. As you measure this lower two corners, make them level with the floor so you don't have one side closer, mushing the floor more than the other, even. Now, the same is true of the upper knee. Use your fingers and notice that, I don't know, there's 9, 10 of us here. I'm just guessing, but 10 out of 10 of us have the calf, lower knee, closer to the floor feeling than the upper knee. Is that true? False. Okay. So make sure that lower knee is down. It's not wrong. Measure those two knees against each other and see that the lighter weight knee catches up with the heavier knee, lower knee. Now you have to go to work on the upper knee. This is very difficult. Upper inner knee, bring it down. You have to take this whole thigh down to help that inner knee come down. Once it's down, take the outer knee down. This is maybe the most difficult. Outer knee, outer knee. Okay, what's going to help? See my feet? Move your shin as far out as you can and park it on the sticky mat. Now you're going to extend your shin toward the ankle, away from the knee, toward the metatarsals, without contracting the heel, without the heel moving. That heel is out there, and you are lengthening your shin, ankle, foot. That's going to help. Do you feel it? The back of the knee lengthen. Are you with me? Yes, no. Okay. Walk your heels out further. Push out from the shin to the ankle to the metatarsal. You get length in this thigh. Release, come out. Paschasana. Feel free to come back up on blankets if you like. Paschasana is a different pose. So whatever you need, bring those heels in close. Press your heels together. So I just want to point out in this ankle here that even in a bent-legged pose, I can push way to the back of the heel. Do you see that? It actually moves my knee forward, and it, relatively speaking, my shin is moving back. Now I can also push on the whole heel, not just the back of the heel. I can push differently on that heel, and the foot doesn't roll forward. Just pointing that out. Even in a bent-legged position, you can do things with your feet. Stretch your legs. Stand up. Be near a wall. Have a chair if you need it, and a brick. Now, we shall do Trikonasana. And we're going to do it twice, paying attention to two different parts. So make sure you have a chair nearby, because that's going to be round 2. Round 1 is legs. So props. Take your feet apart. Feel free to use a wall or be away from it, so you know, balance is yours. The rest of the pose, try to do what we do. Take your feet wide apart. Now, here it is possible to hyperextend, but maybe you have some tools now. Keep the weight on the front of the heel and manage to engage that quad. Do this without gripping in the trunk. Now, stretch your arms, turn that right leg. The hard thing to do here is to keep that shin lifted so the weight goes toward the front of the foot. That's the hard part. So you use that brick as a prop, a support if necessary. You put it so it's narrow edge is against that calf when the leg is optimally straight. Then you need another brick for your hand or even a chair. Stretch your arms. Not everybody needs this. Keep the quad lifted. Push into that back heel. This quad needs to lift to get that top outer hamstring. This leg too. Push through the front of the foot. You can't see, I wish the cat would sit on my foot and pull that outer back thigh toward the hip as you come down. I'm going to open my stance because everything gets easier. Forward through the right foot. Engage that quad. Now, you got to come up with the same firmness. The quad, the knee, the foot are so stable that you can come up without that sense of collapse, I hope. Now, Arvind's iPad. How'd it go? Oh, you're muted and I can't see you. So you're going to have to unmute yourself to say if it went okay.
Good, it's exactly what I need.
That's Karen. Now, Arvind's iPad, whose name I actually don't remember. Get ready for side 2. With your props, feet apart. Stretch your arms, stretch your front heel, back knee. Turn. Push through the left big toe, left inner heel, not the back heel. It's hard to get to the back inner heel. And pull up that quad muscle. Likewise, stretch your back leg, outer back thigh, and over you go. Knees as firm as can be. This is how you keep, when you keep the limb firm, this is how you can keep the nervous system from shaking. Mr. Iyengar says, if you keep that outer back knee stretched, open, the mind does not shake. Stretch firm in those knees. Use the quad. Turn the feet. Bring the feet together. Okay, so we're going to repeat this, but working through the upper body. This is where the chair will come in. Excuse me, cat. Excuse me. Excuse me. So you put, actually, you don't really want the chair at the wall. You just want it near a wall off to the edge of your mat. Watch. There's the front of that chair. So here I am set for Trikonasana, and I'm quite close in, do you see, to this chair? Very close in. I'm just gonna walk all the way onto the mat. Needs to be close in, and don't make it collide with your knee, and don't cause yourself further hyperextension trying to get away from the chair. Now watch. That's just the setup. Turn your feet forward and be here for a second, facing forward. and stretch your arms down. Organize your breath. Turn the arms from the armpit. You gotta feel like that arm is turning, and take the arms up. Behind the ears, stretch up. Behind the ear, stretch up. Interlock your fingers, turn your palms up, stretch up. Stretch your back up. Then take your arms down with that full length back. Turn to the right. Watch this. Bend your right elbow. This makes that tricep stretch. Reach Trikonasana so that your elbow touches that chair. Pull the chair in closer. Makes it easy. Reach that elbow. Put it to the chair. Reach. If you can't reach your arm straight, put your arm on the chair. Straight. Go out there. Way out there with the side of your trunk. Way, way out. Way, way out. Bend from the hips. Bend from the hips. Turn that left thigh. Turn your left thigh and stretch over it. Now, carefully come up. This for all of you is a big stretch. Turn your feet. Take side two. So move the chair. So look, when the reach is just like not realistic, you still come in as close as possible to that chair. And you start out with this reach as far as you can. You see how much that armpit is open. It's not this pose. I am stretching. So you go as far as you can, and then you straighten your arm. Now look, my palm is up because that helps keep the shoulders safe. Then maybe I can hike out a little farther, or I could walk my hips back farther and stretch that trunk as long as possible. Palm up, arm pushing down. Cliff walk your hips back, feet back, hips back. Get longer. Now, help yourself if you're a little bit too long for no support. Put your hand down and get where you can support with those legs and come up. Okay? So that worked a little better. Most of you needed that complete arm stretch. So, chair facing you. Your right foot is forward. If you see this, this is my right foot goes forward, left foot goes back. So I'm facing you. Okay. So if you saw this from the side, you would see me beginning by lengthening that trunk, right? Not being short, but stretching back through those legs and forward through the trunk. So that's what it looks like from the side. That's how it begins. Okay. And from the front looks like this. Now, This left hand, back leg hand, comes forward and crosses over to hold the tubing, and the elbow comes down. So lowering the elbow stretches your side. If that elbow can't get down to the chair, you put a brick in place and put your elbow on the brick. And you hold on to the chair back with your elbow over your knee. So it's crossed over. Now stretch your legs, pull that rib cage forward, push down with that left elbow and turn to your right, revolve your trunk. Parivrita Trikonasana, roll your shoulder. Roll your shoulder. Anyone who's got that shoulder literally vertically over your left shoulder, stretch your right arm. You can stretch it back or up. Be comfortable in the shoulder. Spread those ribs. Now, carefully, Amelia, you could take a longer pose, walking your back heel further back, and it would cause more space to come into the trunk. Now, carefully come up. Prepare those legs before you put all the weight on them. You have to keep some part of that heel grounded and the knee firm. Left side. Don't forget to line up those feet. Long stance. This looks longer, Emilia. So good. Keep that back outer knee open. The left big toe and inner heel are pushing. Stretch your trunk forward, lengthening that spine. And then you come over with that right elbow, spreading across the back. The elbow comes down to a brick or the chair. Hold on to that chair tubing. Your elbow should be over in line with the left leg, not inside. So Chaya, move your chair to your left. Move your chair sideways. Now you can be in a better position. That is it. When that top shoulder is vertically over the lower one and your breathing is matching, stretch that top arm. Keep your legs straight. Kathy, lid down. Cut your left hip into the right a bit. Yes. And then eventually that right shoulder will cross over better. Good. Come out. Lena, this is getting better. One issue is I think your feet need to be a greater distance from each other. And part of this is that the rung on your chair is, there is a rung between the front legs of the chair, and it keeps your leg from getting too far under. So that's not a bad thing, but it means you have to stretch farther. That's all. You have farther to go. Are the rest of you, are all of you okay? Okay. Good. Take your chair so the seat goes to the wall and the chair back is away from the wall. Oh, by the way, the hyperextenders do this, come off your heels. Way up, where act like you're wearing spike heels. Way up, like you're trying to imitate dancing on point. Classical Western ballet. Okay, tighten your kneecaps. Not difficult to tighten the kneecaps here. And the reason is that relationship between the shin and foot muscles doing that extension and the quad being able to draw up. Go ahead, sit down on your heels and recover those kneecaps. Lifting. Okay. Now, so we're gonna, I hope you felt raising up off your heels makes it easier to lift the kneecap. Here's your chair. Now, most people do well to take a sticky mat, and you see how the sticky mat is wider than the chair by a few inches. So if you hang that sticky mat over the top of the chair, it projects out the sides. You can take your hands, squeezing that sticky mat way out wide there. Keep watching. And I can push down and bear weight, right? I can push and I'm not going to slip. And if you see this, my hands are about as wide as my trunk. So if I go way to the edge of that sticky mat, I might have room for the sides of my trunk. Whereas if I just worked with the chair, it would be a little more difficult. So hence, watch what happens. I hold that chair sticky mat on the back the way I showed. This is it from the side. And I back away, come off my heels, and I do a back bend. Watch, I bend my elbows so the chest can come forward, and then I straighten. Now the idea is the pelvis comes close to the chair in the final pose. The heels are off the floor and the leg is straight. Okay, so turn your palms out and grip off the edge of that chair on the sticky mat. Now, if you wear moisturizer, all is lost. You're gonna slip. So you need the grip. Now raise your heels, walk in closer so that pelvis comes toward the chair. You got to bring your pelvis so the arms eventually are vertical. And you're off your heels, widen those elbows to move your sternum in between the upper arms. Raise your head there, feet further back, cliff. Walk your feet back. This is a back bend. Good, Lena, it's coming up into a back bend shape. Good, shoulder blades back. Stretch your elbows now. Chayat's going to squeeze the side ribs and bring them forward. Now, come out. So this shape is a version of Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. And it's pretty easy, but I want to emphasize what's going on in the shoulders. So how close can I get here? In this pose, you can see my up, right where I'm pointing is my upper arm bone. Okay, it's the shoulder end. It has to go back. When my arm is straight, that shoulder should not be forward. It should be back. So keep your eye on this top arm here. When I'm first here, the joint is forward. That arm bone is forward. I bend the elbows and I move the ribs forward. And this whole bone, that whole bone reaches back and down. And then when I straighten my arm, it's the back of the arm reaching down. And as it straightens, it catches my trunk and brings it forward. Do that. You can adjust your feet to accommodate your work through those shoulders. So you come forward, you bend your elbows, you move that whole upper arm bone back from the shoulder socket to the elbow and take it down. It's going to increase your downward push on the chair. And as those elbows straighten, that rib cage is moved forward by the arms. It's like you catch the side of the trunk and roll it forward. Now straighten your elbows, lift your trunk, and stretch your legs, heels up, back knee open, more open catty. Inner heels, chaya. Inner heels, emilia. And out you come. Good. I hope your shoulder blade muscles felt that as some work. And maybe the back arm, that triceps straightening. Okay. Okay, watch. See how the chair seat faces this way. This is different from usual. Now I've got a blanket and a bolster, or a couple of blankets and a bolster, and then just sort of arrange them near a wall. So I've got options. Okay. There. Better peel. Watch. Oh, there's a sticky mat on this chair seat. So I'm gonna go through the chair backwards. Look, I'm just on my ribs. This is easy. It's like most of my body weight's just supported by the chair. I'm not gone through very far. That means it's easy for me to bring my arms through. So get your arms through, then bring the rest of you through. Bring yourself through until your hips go to the edge of that chair and your shoulder blades are here, and maybe your head is resting on that bolster blanket. So then your arms can stretch overhead to the wall. Use your eyes to measure properly your distance. And if you're not good at that, then get rid of the sticky mats underneath your chair so you can slide it. Now to get out, the arms come out first. Then the trunk wiggles and wiggles, and you sit down, coming out. So the arms go in first, and they come out first. So you need to sit on the floor in front of that chair. Now, also, Lena, your chair has a back on it. Do you happen to have two chairs? Because that chair has a back, you take two chairs facing each other. I'll show you this way. And you connect them with a sticky mat. And you go over this way. Two chairs with a sticky mat connecting them so there's no slippage. Yes. And a sticky mat or a blanket, because those chairs are not very deep. So you need some form. Okay, so Kathy Lindauer, I see you, and I think your shoulder blades can come a little more off the chair. And that, yes, that will make the chest open more and the shoulder joints freer. Okay, Lena, wave an arm at me in a positive way if it feels good, if it's satisfactory. Good, good. Keep going there. Anybody else in trouble, you come up. Karen, can you straighten your arms? Are you far enough from the wall? Now, leg straightening, I see some of you do, and I am perfectly fine with you stretching those legs if that trunk stays open. Now, Lena, did you come out because of discomfort, or you just had an idea it was time to come up? Sometimes the mind just goes, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I think I was not able to push myself all the way back or put the hip at the edge of the chair. So I came out.
Yeah. So you need to shift more. So if you put instead of sticky mat, if you put long blankets, you see these blankets go beyond the edges of this chair. The long arrangement is actually going to give you lots more. It's going to open the chair and give you more room to keep the hips up and let the chest open comfortably. It can gentle out the curve. So more blankets than you've given yourself. Mm-hmm. Good. Now, if there is too much pull in the abdomen from the position you've given yourself, if it interferes with free breathing, you need to come up. Now, it is time to come out in any case. So those who are going through that chair backwards, arms come out first. And then you wiggle your trunk through and come out and sit down.
Evan, I've got
Yes.
a question. When I fully extend my leg,
Yeah.
I roll onto my coccyx and I'm very arched from the coccyx all the way through. Is it normal when I'm in a back bend like that?
The pelvis is part of the leg structure. It's also part of the spine structure. So when you stretch the legs, you can expect some influence on the position of the pelvis. You can't insist that the pelvis be exclusively the spine.
Okay.
It's just not nonsense, because what's your buttock for? What's your why is, it doesn't make any sense. Your legs are connected to your pelvis. So your pelvis is part. That means when you stretch the leg, there's going to be a pelvic response.
Okay.
And I mean, a positional response. And when you stretch the spine away from the legs, there's going to be a positional response. The pelvis is going to have to share its movement with both sides.
Okay.
So it makes sense that that pelvis tilts. But if your leg is greedy because there's scar tissue and it can't let go, it may pull the pelvis too much. It's not sharing.
Okay, so I got to share
And
more.
you get in trouble with low back pinches or sacroiliac, or, you get complications that are usually uncomfortable.
So I have to find a balance between pulling my front pelvis up and extending the leg.
Ustrasana is going to help.
Okay.
Sit in your chair sideways. Now, it matters not a bit how much flesh or leg hangs out off the edge of the chair. Just make sure you've got some buttock bone, both buttock bones, on the chair. And if that's not working, then what you have to do is go near a wall. And sit on the chair. It's really more a shelf you need, because you're just going to need something to hang on to. So it could be a bookshelf or a windowsill or the chair back. Okay. So you need two buttock bones seated. Turn to your right, hold that chair. Now, the left hand is kind of pulling down, but also pushing on the chair to move the shoulder blade back and help the twist. This hand is going, how shall I say, it's going to start on your back and it's going to scoop forward, bringing your ribs forward over this outer knee. So while this hand is pushing and this side of the shoulder girdle is moving the ribs toward a twist, this side of the shoulder girdle, this shoulder blade, this triceps is moving that right side of, helping that right side of the shoulder girdle. So it's levering against the knee to turn. shoulder blades, shoulder blades. Don't slide around. Keep the shoulder blade on the back. Now, come out. You can just turn around, or you can turn your chair, doesn't matter. Two buttock bones seated. Two thighs seated. At first, two hands hold the chair back. And use this position to pull your ribs up. Keep your buttocks down. Then you start doing a little more. This hand comes back and you kind of recruit that back rib cage and chest, and you come around. And this hand pushes on the chair to get that shoulder blade, helping those left back ribs go back. Right back ribs come forward. Keep both sides of the buttocks down. And come out. Now I'm turning my chair to face you. And I think you should do the same. Turn your chair to face me. And you may need a brick, so I've brought one. The brick will go in the center. If you're going to use it, it goes in the center. So watch. Another twist. I am sitting well back on the chair, not too far, but far enough. And show you from the side. I need to be able to come to the floor or a brick, right? So if I'm sitting too far back, it might be kind of annoying. A little forward gives me a little more room. If you go too far forward, you can't hold the back of the chair. So you got to sit back, but not too far. This is the starting position. Okay. With or without that brick. And I'm going to my right, and I'm pulling with this right hand to raise that shoulder. And then I'm reaching from my spine down to get my palm on the floor. And if you see this, I'm kind of in the middle between my legs. I'm not leaning, not leaning. I'm attempting to stretch straight away. Lengthen your spine, open that chest. Now, come out, facing the floor, and then sit up. Then, side two. Right hand down, left hand to the chair back. It goes to a brick or the floor. You have to be able to keep your buttocks down and breathe and do the rest of the pose. Okay, so lengthen that spine and very gradually you bend that left elbow so it starts rolling that arm bone and shoulder back, and you push through the right arm from the back, from the spine down, to move those ribs. Lengthen your spine forward toward the camera and turn. And release then. Take two hands to the floor and then come up. Okay. Are you okay? Okay. So some of you will keep this pose, do it one more time. Others of you will join your feet, join the thighs, and come forward. This, by the way, is a open version of, it's hard to know what to call it because it doesn't properly, it has elements of a whole lot of poses. So we're just going to call it an easy variation of the pose Paschasana. Noose. This is a slightly less easy version of Paschasana. So again, if you have trouble with this, you go back to the earlier one. With the legs together, feet together, heels sort of back. It's like you're trying to sit tucked, not open. Sit tucked. As well as you can, given length of shins. Very small people, not very small, but small enough, go up on bricks, then you can really tuck better. Okay, so it's an option. I go with my elbow to the outer knee and the hand to the chair back, and I turn. Then I go lower down. Maybe this hand pushes on its own thigh to help me get around. Then the hand might go to the floor, or it might hold this chair. If it holds the chair leg, it's a bit easier. And you extend the trunk and turn. You can look toward the floor or into that pose. Roll those shoulders, right shoulder up. Use the chair. Keep the spine lengthening both sides, left and right, forward. Catch something with your hand, the chair leg or the floor. So if you're not quite sitting in a good place to catch the chair leg, or you're not far enough forward, then bend the elbow and work with a bent elbow. You'll have an easier time finding that shoulder blade. Now, come out slowly and sit straight. And you can even separate your feet to just settle. This is a deep stretch in the low back. Maybe you notice. It's not a spinal stretch, but it's these muscles that deep muscles right next to the spine. They get a lateral stretch. So for some of us, those layers get very tight, especially if you've been sitting a lot like we do in this time of COVID. Cross your elbow, take your hand. Before you go deep in the twist, lengthen the spine. Now don't shove your lumbars out. Be easy with the low back and open your chest. Be settled in the low back. As you turn, all that fascial tissue and ligament, muscle, tendon, lengthen slowly. And you go to the floor. You catch the chair leg. Use your breath. Use the pacing, so to speak, that your breath affords you, the rhythm of the breath, to extend your spine and turn it. Use the connectivity of the breath to tell you how much room there is. Slowly come out. Good. Now, least chairs away. You have a bolster and maybe two bolsters that'd work, or a bolster and a couple of bricks. Okay, so just put these aside at first and lie on your back. Make your way down onto your back. So that whole expanse of the back of your trunk is broad and relaxed and settled on the floor. And then both knees bent, just gently, right? Keep your pelvis on the floor, fold from the hip, and draw that right thigh to the abdomen. It puts a bit of a squeeze on the right side of the abdomen. And you should just surrender to that squeeze, not fight back, don't puff back, just soften. Now, Karen or anybody else, if that hip doesn't really fold up well, then you need maybe to take, I've cleaned my blankets away for a change. If that hip is not folding, you put a spacer in there, even if it's not much. Look, it's this for me, it's just a corner of a blanket. It could be a rope or a knot in the rope. The idea is it's putting a bit of pressure on the hip, but also on the organs, pelvic organs. Now, props out of the way, stretch your left leg. Lift your ribs, meaning not to the ceiling, but towards your collarbones. And then release and come out. If that little blanket edge thickness was helpful in getting you to make contact between your thigh and your trunk, keep it. Side two knees bent, left knee comes up, folds from the groin to the abdomen. You hold in place with your hands so it can be quietly squeezing that abdomen. Now open the rib cage so you get more length in the left side of the pelvis. And then stretch your right leg on the floor. Fully straight. So we've had a discussion about straightening those legs. Do you all notice how your calf is touching the floor and the hamstring is not? So, important question, is your knee hyperextending? Tighten your quad. Extend through those metatarsals to make it easier to tighten the quad. And see if that helps the leg get even a bit closer to the floor. So Kathy working with the heel against the wall, the hamstring will not go to the floor. Yeah. Now extend through the metatarsals, through the shin and the metatarsals, and use that quad so that there's a small improvement there. You still have to work that time more. Come out now and stretch both legs straight. and lift your limbs. Now, roll to your side, come up sitting. A blanket. However you fold the blanket, it's got to be able to be, I'm going to open mine out like this. It has to be able to cover your whole back. So going wider is fine. Narrower, not fine. I've abandoned, if you now maybe have noted, come off there. I've abandoned that bolster. The only use for that bolster might be, no, do not unravel my blanket, might be to put it on your thighs. So I'm going to do Shavasana. Watch, I just open my shoulders. Did you see that? Shoulder blades are right now on top of that blanket. But as I push through my feet and roll, the top shoulder blade comes down and the lower shoulder blade is elevated on that thinness of blanket. And I take the bolster to my thighs if it is comfortable. Karen, if it causes that lumbar to follow the leg too much, take the bolster off. But if it gives a sense of stretch there, take it. If it's pulling, not stretching, don't take it. Okay, so it's a slightly more open than usual Shavasana. Easier to breathe in that chest. Getting ready for class 2. Arms out to the side so that that chest can make use of the blanket. Take your arms off the blanket that your back is on so that armpit chest can open, collarbones, top lung can open. Will we see you after Christmas? Yes. Okay. Now, bring yourselves back. And you may stay put, you may come up sitting. So I'm not sure about Jonathan's holiday schedule, but I'm not traveling. I'm keeping COVID quarantine. So I'm here on my regular schedule. Emilia left our class just now, but she tells everybody happy holidays. She wishes you all happy.
Happy holidays to Devon and Merry Christmas to all.
To everyone, the same.
Be safe and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you,
If you
Devon.
travel,
Happy
stay
holidays.
safe. Yes, ma'am. You too.
Thank you.
And to Jonathan, wherever he is.
Thank you, Devon. Have a happy holiday.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.